And welcome to Xing the Huddle, Dan and Jacob. I'm Dan.
And I'm Jacob.
And today, on this beautiful September 29th,
It's almost
we're
October, almost spooky month.
spooky month coming up. We're going to talk to you about all the bullshit that happened yesterday in college football, and a little bit of baseball, and a little bit of NFL maybe.
Yeah.
So let's huddle up. Have you got a chance to peruse the 25 yet?
Yeah, there's one team on here which makes me feel a little bit better about KU.
Did you see that there's a tie for 25th?
Not on here.
ESPN rankings on the AP poll have Texas A&M and UNLV tied for 25th.
See, on mine, it doesn't even show Texas A&M. It has UNLV. The next closest is Arizona. Arizona has 106 votes, while UNLV has 122.
Yeah, so at the 25, we'll go Texas A&M and UNLV tied for 25th. 24 is Illinois. 23 is Indiana. 22 Louisville. 21 Boise State.
At number 20, we have K-State. They had a pretty good win over Oklahoma State, who I think dropped out. Oklahoma at 21. They had a
19.
pretty, 21?
Yeah.
I was looking at the last week's. My bad. It was a pretty shaky game against Auburn. Went to a bar, and there was a Kansas City, Oklahoma Sooners fan club. Yeah, that was the thing I know. Now I know.
Gross.
And everyone was just screaming and pissed off. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's funny.
At number 18, we have Utah. They're down 8 spots. They were 10 last week.
Yeah.
BYU is up. Is that 5?
They're up 5 spots.
5 spots at number 17. And number 16, we have Iowa State.
Yeah, not too surprising after Saturday's game. At 16 we got or at 15 we have Clemson. At 14 Notre Dame. At 13 LSU. Ole Miss drops from 6th to 12th after losing on Saturday.
I mean,
we're going to get into that later.
To be fair, that was a pretty bad game for Ole Miss.
Yeah. And then USC at 11.
At number 10, we have that team up north. At number 9, we have a team I also hate, Mizzou. At number 8, we have Miami. They're actually down a spot from 7, which is kind of weird.
I think that has a lot to do with this next one.
At Penn State. At number 7, we have Penn State. They're up 2 spots from 9.
They beat a ranked team.
And then at number 6, we have Oregon, who I still think that's too high.
We'll get into that in a minute.
We'll get to that later.
Number 5, Georgia drops from number 2 to number 5.
I think they should be lower.
We'll get to that in a minute. Tennessee is at 4. Ohio State is at 2. 3. Texas is at 2. And Alabama jumps everybody after blowing a 25-point lead at halftime and allowing Georgia to come back and make that game close.
Yeah, they should. A game on paper.
That game on paper, Alabama should have won.
100%. And they did.
And they did.
That game in the scoreboard.
That scoreboard
It should not have been that close at the end. Actually, after what was the fucking halftime?
28-3 or 28-6, one of the two.
At halftime, it was 30-7.
Okay, 30-7.
And then it was just all Georgia up until about 2
all
minutes.
these points were basically scored in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I watched it. It was touchdown, 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 touchdown. But let's go through some of these games because it was hard. It was hard to watch. It started on Friday. Virginia Tech going to Miami.
That game was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
Same here. Virginia Tech goes in there, and was Miami prepared for that? No.
They
38.
still won, though.
Yeah, 38-34. But they've been demolishing every other team that they're playing, man.
I mean, but if we look at Miami's schedule, like let's
they have a tough schedule.
no, not from that point. I'll pull it up.
Well, they opened at Florida.
They beat Florida 41-17. They beat Florida A&M 56-9. They beat Ball State 62-0. They beat South Florida 50-15.
Who also
Held
held Alabama in check for 2 quarters.
It was like 3.
Yeah, okay, yeah, 3.
And then they beat Virginia Tech 38-13. So Miami Hurricanes fans, when you're not doing your coke and all that shit, don't panic. I think you guys are going to be fine.
As one of our commenters said on one of our videos, Miami is the clear front runner to win the ACC.
1,000%.
100,000%.
There is no other team in the ACC. Maybe Boston College right now.
I think that's going to be the ACC championship game. I am on the bandwagon for Boston College.
I have in my front runners. I have 3 teams that I think could make the ACC championship, and you can quote me on this now.
So is it Miami, Clemson, Boston College?
Well, I said 4.
Oh, okay. Who's your 4th?
Syracuse.
I don't think so.
I think they could do it.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, if you just look at like what they were doing until they lost that last game, it's just the ACC is wide open. Maybe SMU.
SMU played a good game yesterday.
There's just a lot of uncertainty.
They dismantled Florida State. Dismantled them.
And if
I think that score was 52-16. Let me go down to that score real fast. 42-16. 42-16. Dismantled them.
The fact that SMU isn't ranked is kind of a.
They have lost a game though.
Let me look. I think the biggest thing is I think everybody in Florida State is getting fired.
I'm wondering if the firing isn't going to come mid-season.
I wouldn't be shocked. Like if you look at Florida State's schedule of the teams that they've lost to,
should be number 1 in the ACC.
Lose a close game in Ireland to Georgia Tech. It was 24-21. They lose a game in Boston. I'm assuming that's where they are.
Yep. Boston College.
28-13. Then they go to Memphis, which is weird. Or no,
I think they're trying to go.
My bad. Boston College and Memphis were both home games for them. So Boston College goes to Tallahassee and beats them 28-13. And then Memphis goes to Tallahassee and beats them 20-12. Then they beat Cal, which is still shocking to me, 14-9. And then they lose at SMU 42-16. They play Clemson next week.
Hey, I'm going to call the score now. 60-6.
I just don't understand what's going. There's a few teams this season that are exceeding expectations, like Vanderbilt,
Boston College,
SMU,
Stanford.
You have teams in the Big 12 like Arizona State,
BYU. Yeah.
Those teams are exceeding expectations. I would even put Minnesota.
Minnesota is definitely exceeding expectations. We're going to talk
Maybe
about that game
Michigan
in just a second.
State
Michigan State, other than the loss yesterday,
until they played Ohio State.
yeah,
I would say they're exceeding expectations,
but they were 3-1 yesterday going in.
and then they end up 3-2. So
They ended up 3-2. Their destiny is still ahead of them. They can still run the table and meet Ohio State again in the Big Ten championship game.
but then there's teams that are completely underwhelming this season, to where we picked two of the teams that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure me and you also picked them to finish at least top 3, top 4 in their conference. And then I think a couple of these we picked to go to their conference championship. Florida State's one of those.
Yep.
And
I will eat all the crow that you want me to eat.
And KU.
That again. Another disappointing loss yesterday.
I had KU going to the Big 12 Conference Championship, and after they lost that game, I don't even think they're going to make a bowl game. I think they maybe win 3 games this year. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
And it's hard to deal with as a KU fan. I know I'm wearing an Ohio State jersey. I wanted to wear it. I just got it. Felt pretty.
Nice.
But it's hard you have these expectations, and then there's a lot of seniors that decided to come back for this year, and they're just shitting the bed. You got some players on that team for KU. We're talking KU specifically. Florida State, same thing though. You have a lot of players, a lot of kids on these teams that decided to either go to those schools or decided to come back for a senior year. And you're playing mediocre at best football.
Yeah.
At least for KU's sake, they have all been close. But
it reminds me of a team from last year. Nebraska.
Nebraska was close in almost every game last year.
Every single loss was by 1 score or less.
Well, with the exception of TCU. When KU lost to TCU yesterday.
Yeah. But Nebraska, when their season last year, they could have scored a touchdown in every single one of those games and won.
It's just small mistakes. It's coaching decisions. I'm not going to put any blame on these kids.
Nope.
These young men, they go out there and they play their heart out every single time. Now, with one exception, I'm going to put some blame on Jalen Daniels.
Yeah. He is not the same Jalen Daniels we saw in the first 4 games last year.
He is playing scared. And I think the injury to Cam Rising for the 3rd or 4th consecutive year, 27-year senior, you know how we do. I think he's trying to look at his draft stock more than he is his college stock. And to that I say, you were a potential maybe first-round pick. A lot of people had you going in the first round, maybe early second round. Now I'm looking at it, and you may be lucky to get drafted at all.
Yeah.
Because you're playing like dog shit. And next week is not an easy game. I can't remember who they play. I think it's Oklahoma State, and it's on the road.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up real quick. You go to Arizona State, my bad.
Still could be a tough one.
It's not looking like a good year to be a KU fan. We're looking to basketball. This is what we do.
We're looking to December.
A couple of weeks, maybe a month. Basketball starts. It just seems like the same old KU. And I don't think Lance Leipold is to blame at all here. He is traditionally a program builder. I just think maybe at some point you need to put your foot down and maybe bench Jalen and put Cole Ballard, anybody else, Isaiah Marshall, some of these other kids, getting some playing time, because right now this is not okay.
Yeah.
If this is the same thing was happening in Ohio State, Will Howard would be benched.
Yeah.
Or Devin Brown, is his name?
Yeah.
Devin Brown would have been benched. It doesn't matter. As one of my head coaches used to say when I played football in high school, and this is what I think is going on, you play for the name on the front of the jersey, not the back.
And you see that in Ohio State.
Exactly.
All those seniors came
They've
back
all
this
bought
year.
in.
Yeah, they bought in. They bought into what Ryan Day and Chip Kelly and Brian Hartline and Jim Knowles are doing. They bought into it. They said, we want to go out and win a national title.
Exactly.
And
you can't do that if you're playing for a paycheck.
right.
But
I also want to bring up this. What happened to Florida State? They went undefeated, right, last year. Missed the playoff. What are they actually playing for anymore?
Conference move.
I heard that from College Game Day, Nick Saban was talking about the NIL, and I'm 100% on board with what he says. There needs to be a cap on paying these players.
Well,
Pay them, yes, absolutely. Pay the players.
100%.
100%. I'm not saying not pay the players. I'm saying you need a salary cap
Like the NFL.
on each position.
No, not even position. Just in general. Say you're paying. We'll use Michigan as an example because I can think of a few players off the top of my head. Say you're paying Orgy, Alex Orgy, is that his name?
Yep.
Say you're paying him $1 million a year to come play, and you're playing not Quinshon Judkins, my bad. Donovan Edwards, $2 million, and their defensive end, $1 million, and X, Y, and Z amount of players. You should have a cap of $52 million or something like that.
At that point, it's almost $1 million a player, bud.
Well, yeah, but they're not going to pay some of these players. Like, you go to Ohio State. Let's go last year. Let's say you had the salary cap of $52 million. You can't tell me. I mean, who I'm going to say is going to...
$22 million is gone right off the start because the starters are going to make that. 11 on offense, 11 on defense, $22 million.
But some of those players are going to ask for more.
Mm-hmm. Caleb's Downs did. He asked for more at Alabama, and that's why he's at Ohio State now.
Exactly.
And I think that's bullshit. And the Utah head coach said that first-year freshmen for their program will not make NIL money. And it's kind of I understand what he's saying.
You got to prove yourself before.
Yeah, prove yourself.
You can't be like Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah.
You can't. We'll take it down the level. We'll switch some things around. You can't be some hot start in high school and win a state championship and do all these things and then go and be like, I'm going to go play for LSU. I'm going to be that guy. And then shit the bed.
Yeah.
You got to be more like Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. Eli Manning was a fantastic quarterback in college. Also wasn't a terrible quarterback in the NFL. He just had the good fortune, I guess is what I wanted to say, of having a stellar defense. Man won two Super Bowls. You don't just do that.
Yeah.
You don't just, like Tom Brady. You don't just win 7 Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes, you don't just win 3. you have to be the leader of your team. And I think that goes in every position. So, Jeremiah Smith, he's that guy. He'd be the one exception of, like, there's exceptions everywhere. Of he might perhaps be able to get that kind of NIL deal next year. Players play, talkers talk. Just because you think you're the shit doesn't mean you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get up to some of these Saturday matchups. Mississippi State took on Texas. Arch Manning. And Texas put up 35-13 against Mississippi State. Everybody saw that coming. Then Georgia at Alabama. Like we said at the beginning.
That game should not have been that close.
No, it was 30-7 at halftime. 30-7. I want that to sink in. Is Alabama as good as we thought, or is Georgia as bad as we thought? You saw this against Kentucky, where they couldn't move the ball.
I think it goes to just any given Saturday.
Okay. We knew that number 2 versus number 4, there had to be a loser.
I just think I go back to what we said jokingly before the podcast started is Alabama is who we thought they were, and Georgia is not who we thought they were. That game, in my mind, should have been Georgia all day. Granted, it was in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Not an easy place to play. But you got to play.
You know what sucks for Georgia, though? In 3 weeks, guess where they have to go?
Ole Miss, Tennessee.
Texas.
Oh. It's going to be rough.
It's going to be rough. Then Ohio State went up to East Lansing. Pulled out a win there, 38-7. Kentucky went to Ole Miss and beat them 20-17, number 6.
Which I think we called.
Yeah, we did call. I definitely said, Kentucky could win that game.
I'm pretty sure on this week of spreads for our college football pick'em, I was in 3rd place in our league, and now I'm in 1st.
You got 6 games on me, and I'm in 2nd.
I was 23, 24 games I picked correctly, and 2 of them were draws.
Oh, yeah.
Because they met exactly the spread. It was like, it was a 4-point spread.
It was a push. Yeah.
They won by 4. Oh, it was a 3-point spread. They won by 3.
Oregon at UCLA. They take care of the Bruins, 34-13. Illinois, Penn State. Now this was a game. It was 21-7, and I got to give it to Illinois. I understand that you went to Happy Valley and played Penn State. Kudos to them for only holding to 21. Then Arizona went to Utah, and they 23-10.
Kind of pushed their shit
Arizona.
in.
Yeah. In the next game, there's a shroud of controversy around this entire game. I watched it from beginning to end, and I'm going to tell you this. Minnesota at Michigan. Minnesota scored on one of the best catches I have ever seen in my existence of watching football.
I don't think I've seen that one.
That is an amazing catch, and you should watch it while I'm talking about this game.
This is Michigan-Minnesota catch?
Minnesota versus Michigan, a spectacular catch. I would just search that and make sure there was videos from yesterday. But Minnesota scores and then go to kick the onside kick. We've all seen the replay.
How the fuck did he catch that?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
The dude wasn't even looking at the ball.
No. So they go to kick the onside kick, and as you do when you're on an onside kick, you want a little bit of a leverage. So they're 5 yards off. The line starts to move, to start going. He kicks the ball, and that's how much was offsides.
Just a hair.
His fingers, as he was going like this. That's not offsides.
No.
That is not. And when his arm is coming up to be offsides, the ball was already kicked. It went through 2 Michigan defenders, and then they pounced on it. And they told Minnesota that they were offsides. This year right here has been one of the worst year for officiating in the NCAA.
I'd honestly say even after that, probably the NFL.
The NFL has had 10 or 12 questionable calls this year. And they're on what, game 5, 4?
I think
Kansas City
this was 4.
Yes, Kansas City just played their 4-0 today.
Which shocked me.
Yeah. So maybe we need to get some of these old fucks out of there.
Like the government.
Yeah.
Weird random aside there.
And then, what was my done rambling about that Minnesota-Michigan game? We have Wisconsin going to USC. Handled Wisconsin 38-21. That game was a lot closer in the first and second quarters. Then you got South Alabama at LSU. We all knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, and it did.
Yeah, 42-10. Louisville went to Notre Dame.
That game was close for a while.
That was a 7-point game at the end, 31-24.
Well, when I looked at it, it was like, what was the final score?
31-24.
I could have swore for a minute there it was like 31-17 or something.
Stanford goes to Clemson and gets embarrassed.
That'll happen.
Well, welcome to the ACC.
Welcome there, young man.
They handled Stanford 40-14. Iowa State at Houston. Iowa State 20, Houston nada.
That was a kind of underwhelming game. That was my underwhelming game of the week.
Yeah.
That should have been a lot more points for Iowa State. I'm sorry, I'm saying.
Yeah. Oklahoma State went to K-State. They lost 42-20.
Kind of got embarrassed.
And then Oklahoma at Auburn.
That game.
Welcome to the SEC, Oklahoma.
Oh, my God. As somebody who watched the game in a bar, well, the first half of the game in a bar in Kansas, and I shit you not, I think I said this earlier, there was an Oklahoma Sooner football fan club that bought out half the bar, and I'm next to a guy who's a Sooners fan, head to toe Sooners. He had Sooner Crocs on, he had Sooner shorts, he had the fucking visor hat, he had a Sooner jersey. I didn't say anything on the. It said Sooners on the back. It was like 00. And anytime they did something stupid like fumble, throw an interception, do anything, he's just like, "Fuck! God damn it!" And I'm just over here just going. There's a few teams out there that make me happier when their fans are pissed off. Oklahoma, Texas, and Michigan are up towards the top.
And then we got BYU at Baylor, 34-28.
That game is a lot closer than I think it should have been.
Arkansas, Texas A&M. So Texas A&M squeaks out a win, 21-17. Washington State at Boise State. The first time that the Washington State quarterback didn't rush for 400 yards in a game.
Oh.
Boise State handled them 45-24.
How many yards rushing did Ashton Gentry have?
259.
Jesus Christ. You can quote me on this one now. We're only 5 games into the season. Don't be shocked if he maybe breaks Barry Sanders' rushing record. What is it, like almost 3,000 yards rushing?
Something like that.
Like 2,600?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Maryland at Indiana. Indiana scored 42 again.
Indiana is one of those teams that I think I missed of their exceeding expectations this year.
Yeah. Nebraska at Purdue. Nebraska handles Purdue 28-10. Buffalo at UConn. UConn demolished Buffalo 47-3.
Yeah.
Western Kentucky at Boston College. Boston College squeaks out a win against Western Kentucky 21-20.
To be fair, the Hilltoppers are one of those teams that they will just do that.
Northern Illinois almost beats North Carolina State. It was 24-17. They had the ball with about 2:20 left.
I still like Northern Illinois this year.
Still a good, solid team. Syracuse 42, Holy Cross 14. Navy routs UAB 41-18. South Florida at Tulane. Tulane went off 45-10. James Madison.
Yeah, old James Madison.
James Madison scores 63 on Ball State.
They are who we thought they were.
Yeah. Sam Houston State 40, Texas State 39.
That's a weird score.
Massachusetts, Miami, Ohio 23-20 in overtime. Louisiana at Wake Forest. University of Louisiana Raging Cajuns 41, Wake Forest 38. TCU at Kansas 38-27.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
Fresno State at UNLV 59-14. San Diego State at Central Michigan. Central Michigan 22, San Diego State 21.
A lot of weird scores this week.
Marshall handles Western Michigan 27-20. Akron loses to Ohio 30-10.
I wonder if any of these are a scoregami.
I don't think so. North Carolina's having a bad year.
There's a lot of teams having bad years.
Duke beats North Carolina 21-20 after James Madison drops 70 points on them at home. That's nuts.
Yeah.
And then Florida State at SMU. Florida State got embarrassed again.
I just think at this point, I think you just throw in the towel. And
At the end of this,
I don't think if... Hear me out here. If Florida State loses this next game against Clemson, which they probably will, I think you bench DJ Uiagalelei. I don't know who their backup is. I don't care at this point. If I'm a Florida State fan, I'm pissed.
I'm looking at their remainder schedule, right? So yeah, Clemson next.
That's a loss.
At Duke.
Honestly, they lose that one.
At Miami.
They definitely lose that one.
North Carolina at home. Probably win
They
that one.
may squeak out a win.
At Notre Dame.
They get blown the fuck out.
Then they have Charleston Southern.
They get blown out.
I'm not fucking counting Charleston Southern out at this point.
No, honestly, when you have a team that has so granted, I'm gonna say KU here. Even though KU has lost 4 games, they're 1-4. Every single game they've played, they've been in. It's shitty coaching mistakes. It's just people trying to go. They're going for the brand.
Yeah.
They're trying to get their draft stock up. and they make terrible decisions. They do stupid shit that they shouldn't be doing. They try to force balls where they don't need to be. That's not what's happening at Florida State. Florida State is straight up just not scoring points. KU, what was it, 38 to 35, 34?
Yeah.
Florida State hasn't scored more than 27 points this season.
Yeah, they have. No, they haven't.
No, they haven't.
No, they have.
The most they scored was, what, 24?
21.
Exactly.
21. That was a Georgia Tech game, first game of the season. 24-21. And then they lost to Boston College 28-13, lost to Memphis 20-12, scored 14 on Cal 14-9, and then got blown out by SMU 42-16.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. They haven't scored more than 21 points in any game.
Their offense is stifled. Their defense is
Mediocre.
fairly decent compared, except for this last game.
Hold on. So they say, okay, so 2, 4, 6.
Most of the games have been semi-close.
They've had over 130 points scored on them. Over 130.
And they've scored, what, 90? 85?
2, 3, 4, 5, 78.
That is not Florida State football. That is not.
It is not. Every
As somebody
Florida State fan
who likes Florida State, you know me. I have a lot of family from Tallahassee. I have a Jameis Winston jersey from Florida State. I like Florida State, and I want them to do well. If I was actually a Florida State fan, severely disappointed with the season. You should easily be 5-0. Same thing with KU. You should easily be 5-0. But you're not. And that's the problem right now. It's just the college football landscape has been completely turned on its head this year.
This is my question.
Here's my big thing, though, real quick before you ask that question. I feel like a lot of these contenders that we've had this year are in fact pretenders.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of these pretenders we've had are contenders. And there's a litany of teams that you can pick.
Miami.
Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has a legitimate shot to not only go to a bowl game, but to maybe, perhaps, possibly be very slim chance going to the SEC championship. It's a very slim chance, but it's not. They're not out yet.
Yeah. If they lose one more game, they're out.
And
with their schedule, it's going to be really hard for them to win out.
And there's like teams like we had picked in the beginning of the season. We had Florida State and KU potentially being playoff teams.
Yeah.
Now I don't have either of them being in a bowl game.
They can't. There's no way that Florida State, as a 4-loss team already, can make the playoff. They would have to win out. They would have to blow out Clemson. They would have to blow out Miami. They would have to blow out Notre Dame in order to be in the conversation of a playoff.
There's no possible way that Notre Dame, my bad, wrong team. Florida State or KU can possibly make the college football playoffs at this point. There is, however, a chance that they make a bowl game at this point. One more loss, though.
No bowl game for you.
Well, you only need to be 6-6.
Okay.
But KU,
hear me out.
KU's only win they have this year is against a non-FCS team, FBS team.
Yeah.
Is it FBS or FCS?
Yeah, they beat Lindenwood, which was an FCS school.
So KU needs to win 6 games the rest of the season to make a bowl game. I don't see that happening at this point. And Florida State needs to win 5 games.
Yeah. And the remainder of their schedule, Clemson, Miami, Notre Dame, Florida, those games right there, that's 4 losses. The only wins that I'll give you is maybe Duke,
How many
North Carolina, and Charleston Southern.
how many people do you think get fired?
I would. That was what I was. My next question for you: when do they let Mike Norvell go?
Honestly, I'd say maybe not after this Clemson game, but if they lose another game after that, I think that's it. And the only reason I say that, and then there's a little caveat to what I'm about to say, Florida State's head coach in staffing gets fired before KU's does.
Lance Leipold is in his second year.
Fourth.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the year that he took over, they went 2-10. Then they went 6-7. They lost in triple overtime to Arkansas.
They went 8-4 last year, right?
Like 9 and something.
Okay.
Beat Lance Leipold's first season. They beat Texas in that crazy overtime game, and it was so fucking fun to watch. It was.
That was a shootout. That's what that was.
Okay, so hear me out here. As a KU fan, I just want to say I am not disappointed,
But you're shocked.
but I'm a little disheartened.
Yeah.
Watching KU growing up, it was always just kind of a struggle. They had the record for the most non-conference or most conference losses in a row on road losses. I think it was 154 losses in a row, or some crazy number like that. I know it was over 100. Then they beat Boston College, and I don't know if I ever told you this. I actually talked. When I work at Quick Trip, it's a gas station, and I was working in Lawrence one night, and this dude came in and he had a cast on his arm. He was a big dude, big kid, and I was like, "What happened to your arm?" He's like, "Do you really want to know?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I broke my arm against one of the schools that they played. He was a football player for KU. May or may not still be there. I'm not sure. This has been like 6 years ago." 5-6 years ago, and this is when they got Les Miles, and I'm like, well, I believe in you guys. And he's like, you're the only one. Straight up what he said to me. Played for the team. He said, you're the only one that believes in us. And I was like, you'll do great things. And after the last few years, I was like starting to get a little hopes up. And as is tradition, I just get those dashed real quick. It's been a wild roller coaster.
Yeah.
If they can right the ship from here on out, you're 1-4. You have 7 games left. If they can win some of these next games in their conference, with the Big 12 being as shaky as it has been, I still think that there might be a very, 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 very slim chance that KU makes the Big 12 championship. I doubt it. You're 0-2 in conference. I just want a bowl game at this point. I don't even care.
Something to celebrate at the end of the year.
Something. I don't want another wasted season. And with that, I'm going to let you talk for a second. I'm going to use the restroom.
So with the schedule being the way it is, I'm looking. It's gonna be a wild week coming up. Looking at week 4 or week 5. The Georgia and the Alabama game threw me off for a loop. I thought Georgia could win that game handily. And it can't. The Alabama comes out, scores 30 points. It was 37 at halftime, and they just let them come back. And everybody talks about the spirit of the game, and it seemed like when they got in there, they got complacent at halftime, and that's a problem. Kalen DeBoer needs to get his team prepared at halftime to weather the storm from here on out. Another game that surprised me but didn't surprise me was Kentucky over Ole Miss. Ole Miss, I love Jackson Dart. I got him at the top of my Heisman poll right now, still. But that game was still. I understand Kentucky is the game. There's the team that we didn't think that they were going to be, but they are now.
They weren't who we thought they were.
Yeah.
But now we think they are who we think they were, maybe, perhaps.
Something.
Along those lines.
So, I want to go.
I would like to do a quick little aside here.
Okay.
We talked about MLB.
Yeah. Kudos to the Royals.
I would like to congratulate my Kansas City Royals. At the beginning of the season, they're also real quick. Their skipper, I can't remember his name, said when they clinched the playoff spot, he's like, no one else thought that we could make it to where we are except for the people in this room. I was one of those people outside of that room that thought that they could do it. At the beginning of the season, I optimistically said they should be able to win over 80 games. I said optimistically 85. They won 86. And they're going to the playoffs for the first time since 2015 when they won the World Series. It's so nice to have competitive sports in Kansas City other than just the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, sporting.
They were dog shit this year.
Last year.
Both. Same. Doesn't matter.
That memory will always stick in me when I went in, I think it was 2014.
I was there.
Yeah. When
It was cold as fuck.
yeah, it was like negative 17 degrees outside. I'm huddled up with this chick in a blanket, and
Lucky.
and we're watching Sporting KC, and then over the loudspeaker that they saw that, or they announced that Real Salt Lake had lost, and Sporting KC only they had to score 3 goals to clinch the MLS Cup that night, and they scored 4. T-Pain was there, or not T-Pain.
Tech 9.
Tech 9 was there, and it was a night to remember. I'll always remember that night.
I just remember it was just so much fun. But I just remember that I was in like one of the worst possible spots in the stadium because I was like right next to one of the pillars that was right next to where one of the wind gaps was.
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
So the entire time I'm just getting hit in the face with these like super cold crosswinds, and I'm freaking huddled up. I got like Under Armour cold gear on. And I got a Carhartt on, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I am so miserable right now, and I wasn't 21 yet.
Yeah, so I was going up to the concession and getting hot chocolates for me and this chick.
I couldn't drink, so I didn't have that false warmth.
Yeah.
One of my buddies gave me tickets. It was also like one of my buddies' dads used to work for the Royals. He might still work for the Royals. I haven't talked to him in a long time.
If the Royals go to the World Series, we're going to a game.
I've been to 3 World Series games.
I had to make sure I got that on camera.
And just had a buddy that worked. His dad worked for the Royals, and because he worked for the staff, they get free tickets. Well, they get free tickets to all of the games. So I got to sit in a suite for Game 6 of 2014 and was it Game 6 and Game 3? No, Game 3 would have been in San Francisco.
Game 5?
2 and 6. And then Game 3? 2, one of those. Anyway, I digress here. So much fun. Really happy I didn't go to Game 7. But I do remember when the Royals won the World Series in 2015. I got off work. I went to Power and Light. And it was right when they scored like 6 runs in the 8th inning or 9th inning or whatever it was. Everyone's losing their fucking mind. And it's just so nice to have a competitive baseball team again. Because you know what people were talking about at the beginning of the season. The Royals were going to move to Nashville.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, no.
They're getting a new stadium.
Well, that'll be voted on in November.
And honestly, here's what I think is going to happen. I think the Chiefs and the Royals move to Kansas.
Could be.
At least one of those. And I'd be more hard pressed to see the Royals leave Missouri. I think if anything, the Chiefs go to Kansas. Think about it. Go to the Legends. The Speedway's right there. There's all the shopping centers. There's Bass Pro. There's Sporting. There's hotels. What's next to Arrowhead right now?
Oh,
Fucking nothing.
yeah. The Royal Stadium.
There's nothing
That's
there.
it.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Think of the economy boost. And the coolest thing is, so like a lot of people are like, Missouri legalized weed. Which I don't care. I don't do it. All power to you. But Kansas legalized sports betting. And from my understanding is they're going to use that sports betting money that they got to help fund the stadiums being built.
You know that's on the ballot for Missouri this year, right?
It's on the ballot for Kansas too.
The sports betting?
No, for the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, for the sports betting, that is on the ballot for November.
Yeah, but Kansas already has multiple years of having this, so they have this excess money that they can just drop on it. Because you think about this as a Kansas resident. Oh, we have all this money from sports betting. We have all this excess tax money that we've gotten from people for betting on sports, winning all this money. Let's drop $1 billion to build a stadium for a sports team that then you can bet on in the stadium.
Fair enough.
Say it's third inning, second quarter, your team's down. You go, I got a drunk hunch that I think this team, we're going to pull this out and win. I'm going to put $100 down right now that I think we're going to come back and win. You lose, you got $100. Cool. You win, you're up $1,000 or whatever.
Let's get back to some college football.
College football.
I'm gonna go by conference. You tell me how many undefeated teams there still are in that conference. Let's start with the AAC, the American Athletic Conference.
I'm going to guess maybe one.
If I told you there were 5, 6, would you believe me?
No, but since you said it, yes.
Okay, no, there's 2.
See, I told you.
Do you want me to name them? Because you're gonna be like, what?
AAC.
That's for like Tulane, Charlotte, Memphis, Florida Atlantic, South Florida.
I'm going to guess one. FAU.
No.
Charleston?
Nope.
Okay, go ahead.
Army and Navy.
I didn't think they were in the AAC.
Yeah, they're in the AAC. American Athletic Conference. Come on now, it just fits. All right. So, how many teams in the ACC are still undefeated?
One.
3.
Well, one's Miami.
Uh-huh. You won't guess them.
Wake Forest.
You won't guess them.
Are any of these teams new?
No.
Duke.
Yeah. Well, you got one. Duke and Miami. Who's the third? There's no way you get this. There's no way you get this.
Overall or in the conference?
Overall, they are 4-0. They have not lost a game. It's not Florida State.
It's not Georgia Tech. It's not Duke. It's not Wake Forest. It's not Cal.
This team has also not played a conference game.
I'm thinking they're in the Northeast. Virginia?
No. Close.
It's not Virginia Tech.
No.
I give up.
Pitt.
Oh.
Pitt is undefeated. Let's go to the Big 12. How many teams in the Big 12 are still undefeated?
2.
Yep. Can you name them?
Iowa State.
Yep.
I should know this one because not KU, not K-State, not Oklahoma State, not Houston, not Arizona, not Utah. Arizona State? No. Not UCF because they lost.
All right.
Cincinnati?
BYU.
I knew that.
How many undefeated teams are in the Big 10?
4.
5.
Well, let's go. I want to say Northwestern.
No, they
Indiana.
lost. Okay, Indiana, that's 1.
Ohio State.
2.
Penn State.
3.
Oregon.
4.
This last one's going to be a weird one, I know.
Yep, it is.
It's not Purdue.
Nope.
Not Washington.
Nope. It's not a new team.
Not a new team. It's not Minnesota. Not Michigan State.
Scarlet Knights.
Rutgers.
Rutgers is still undefeated.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going to pull their schedule up.
You ain't going to say it like that for long.
Yeah. So, the Scarlet Knights. So, they beat Howard, Akron, Virginia Tech, Washington.
Honestly, 2 of those are quality wins, I think.
Yeah, Virginia Tech and Washington.
No, it was Howard.
Howard? That's a quality win.
No, I'm fucking with you.
You know who they have up next? Nebraska.
Fuck.
Greg Schiano's first 4-0 start becomes 4-1.
You never know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You never do know.
5-0.
Yeah. So,
Is it a home game?
for who?
Rutgers.
No.
We go to the Children of the Cornfield.
Yep.
You know what? Upset of the week. I got Rutgers beating Nebraska.
Okay. Conference USA. There's one undefeated
Memphis.
team.
No.
Memphis is in the AAC.
Who's in Conference USA again?
New Mexico State, UTEP, Middle Tennessee, Louisiana Tech, Kennesaw, Jacksonville State, Florida International, Western Kentucky, Sam Houston, and Liberty. Liberty Bibberty.
I said Liberty.
It is. It's Liberty.
Liberty bibbity bibbity boo.
There is no undefeated independents. Notre Dame, UConn, and UMass all have losses.
What? Notre Dame lost to who did they lose to? Northern Illinois.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh man, weird.
Yeah.
What
They
about
go out and score 66 the next week.
just skull fuck Purdue?
Yeah, that was a hard game to watch. And there is no undefeated teams in the MAC.
What about Mountain West?
There is a undefeated team.
The Air Force.
Air Force is 1-3.
Well, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Who's in the MAC? Is this one of the 4 teams that are leaving?
I think
It
so.
was Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Fresno State? Sam Houston.
No, that's not one of the 4 teams.
Is it UNLV?
It is UNLV. They are 4-0.
I don't think UNLV's leaving.
No
Because they
undefeated.
were all state teams. It was Boise State, because they're all joining the Pac-12. It was Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, and then like Fresno State or something. It was all state schools, and I'm like, how the fuck? Which is really funny, because if you add those two, they're joining Washington State and Oregon State. So we just need some state schools to join the Pac-12, and it's just going to be the state conference.
Penitentiary.
Might fucking well be.
All right, let's go to the SEC.
Alabama,
1,
Tennessee.
2,
How many?
1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 undefeated teams. You have 2.
Texas.
3.
I feel like one of these is a weird one.
It's a team you don't like.
Fucking Mizzou.
Yep. Sunbelt has 1 undefeated team. I can give it away if you want me to.
Slight hint.
They scored 70 on North Carolina.
James Madison. Really? They're in the Sun Belt?
They're in the Sunbelt.
That's weird because they're in like South Carolina.
They're in the Sunbelt East.
That's fair.
But yeah, those are all of the undefeated teams. They're still undefeated. They survived another week. So let's go to the schedule real fast. We'll pick 5 games.
Okay. Each?
Yep. So week 6, September 30th through October 6th. So Michigan State plays Ohio State yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to travel to Oregon. Pissed off?
A little bit.
I'm going to put Oregon on upset alert.
I kind of agree with that.
Syracuse has to travel to UNLV.
You're taking all my games I want to pick.
Oh, am I?
I got Syracuse upsetting UNLV.
I got UNLV upsetting Syracuse.
Well, that's weird because UNLV is favored by 4 points.
I know, but it's a Mountain West school versus an ACC school. Is it really?
It's a 3-1.
Who do you got?
I got Syracuse. It's a 4-point spread.
No, next game.
My game?
Yep.
I got Pitt going to UNC, University of North Carolina. Pitt is favored by 2.5. I think they beat that. I think they quadruple that.
I think it's a 4 to 7 point game.
Quadruple. They beat it. So basically 3-point spread. So I think they win by 12.
Okay.
My next game I got Virginia Tech Stanford.
Stanford has to go to Virginia Tech, don't they?
Nope. Virginia Tech goes to Stanford.
So coast to coast.
Coast to coast. Space goes coast to coast. And I got Stanford as a 7-point underdog. 6.5. Same thing.
Yeah.
I got Stanford pulling the upset
Okay.
on Virginia Tech.
One of my upsets for the week, SMU goes on the road to Louisville. Louisville's only a 7-point favorite.
Okay.
My next upset is Boston College at Virginia. Virginia is a 3-point favorite in that game.
I don't understand how.
I don't either.
Give me Boston College.
Okay.
One of my long shot upsets of the week, I got Alabama going to Vanderbilt. It's a 24-point spread. At the very least here, Vanderbilt covers that spread in my eyes.
I think that they have a shot at beating a beat up Alabama team.
And that's what I mean. If you look at Alabama's schedule, next week they play South Carolina at home, so they might be looking forward to, because their next 3 games, except for Mercer, they go at Tennessee, Mizzou comes to town, and then they go at LSU. So they may be looking 2 games into the future. Also, that Vanderbilt team that we've been seeing this year, even though they're 2-2, they took Mizzou to double overtime. They lost to Georgia State, which was kind of shocking to me, and then beat Virginia Tech in overtime. I like this Vanderbilt team. Don't be shocked if they can somehow pull an upset against Alabama. Will it likely happen? No. But don't be shocked.
I think my last one, Iowa at Ohio State.
You think Iowa upsets Ohio State?
I don't think they upset them, but I do think they cover the 20-point spread.
That Iowa team's looking kind of not like a normal Iowa team this year.
Yeah.
They actually have an offense, which is weird.
Talking about a team that has an offense that shouldn't have an offense, Indiana.
Yeah. I got 2 more games to pick.
Yep.
Give me Washington to upset Michigan.
Michigan's got to go to Washington, don't they?
Yep. To go to Seattle.
Okay. And then I want to pick 2 of the lowest.
Well, I still got one more.
Yeah.
And my last one I have who do I want to pick? There's so many like good games. Fuck it, I'm just gonna pick it. KU goes to Arizona State. It's a night game. KU is not favored by 3 points. I think they can pull out a win. I think KU will go in, and it'll be a sloppy, messy game, but I think they can possibly pull out that win. That's just maybe me being hopeful, but we'll see. What do you think?
I'll take KU.
It's only 3-point spread.
Yeah.
They've been playing everyone hard this year. All they need is a few more not throwing an interception in the goal, the end zone. Bad fumbles, missed field goals. Stupid shit that loses you games. That.
We're going to pick 3 of the lowest odds games. Right now, there's Missouri at Texas A&M at 1 point.
As much as I hate him, I say go Mizzou.
Okay. The next game on the list is going to be Appalachian State at Marshall, 1.5.
I'm going Thunder and Herd on that one.
Okay. UCF at Florida, 1 point spread.
It's in the swamp.
It's in the swamp.
Give me Florida. And from what my phone says, it's supposed to be raining when that game's going on in Florida. I know, shocker. It's also a night game in the swamp. And give me Florida. What do you got?
That's the last of the 1 and 1.5 point spread games. You already picked Washington to upset Michigan at 2. That's a 2 point spread. I'll throw in another one. Texas Tech at Arizona, 4.5.
That's a game I'm kind of looking forward to watching if I could watch it. Texas Tech has always historically had a very high-powered offense. Just they have an air raid offense. You said Arizona? And
At Arizona.
Arizona also has a high-powered air raid offense.
But they also have a good defense.
They also have good defense, and Texas Tech doesn't have a slouch of a defense either. I would not be shocked if the over-under for points in that game was over 80.
It's over-under right now, 62.5. Take the over?
I'm taking the over. If I had to guesstimate what I think the final score of that game might be,
49-47.
no, I'm thinking like 58-42. It's just going to be a shootout.
Just absurd.
It's just going to be all gas, no brakes, both sides of the game.
All right. For all of you fans out there that want to know what networks some of these games are on, Purdue and Wisconsin's on the Big Ten Network. Then you have Boston College at Virginia on the ACC Network. Indiana at Northwestern is going to be on the Big Ten Network. Virginia Tech at Stanford's on the ACC Network. Alabama at Vanderbilt's going to be on the SEC Network. USC at Minnesota is going to be on the Big Ten Network. UCF at Florida is going to be on the SEC Network. Duke at Georgia Tech is going to be on the ACC Network.
That Minnesota.
Check your local times. Check your local times, guys.
You said Minnesota, USC.
USC at Minnesota. That's a 9.5 point spread in USC's favor.
Don't be shocked if Minnesota upsets USC.
We're on the boat.
We're rowing the boat.
All right.
Okay. So with all that things being said, we talked about a bunch of things today. We may have both went on rants.
Yeah, a little bit.
Again, congratulations to Kansas City Royals and everybody else who has made the playoffs. I feel bad for the Chicago White Sox. They set a record for the most losses in an entire season. They went 42 and 121. Abysmal. But with all these things being said, again, I would like to thank all of you guys who watch, who comment, who like these videos. You know, it means a lot. I don't expect you to watch the entire thing, but if you do, we truly do appreciate that.
Like we said, we're not in this for the money.
No,
we're just
absolutely
in this
not.
to talk about college football.
And if you like this kind of thing, please do leave a like. Share these with your friends. You know, help us get some name recognition out here. Because the more people we have in here, eventually we can start doing these live.
That's the goal. Get 1,000 followers so that we can go on YouTube Live.
If we can go live, it'd be a more interactive experience. I was going to try to do a Kermit the Frog pick of the week. I still might. Well, maybe we'll save it for next week. But if you haven't, please subscribe, leave a like, share, comment, do all those things. If you would like, you can join the Discord. It is free, obviously, because that's how Discord works. Join our Discord. Once we start getting more than just the 3 people that are in there, we're going to start posting polls of games of the week, you know, and that we'll talk about. It's also nice if you guys comment games that you're excited for the next week, so we can talk about, you know, be like, my dad or something says, you know, I'm really looking forward to this game, this team versus this team. We'll talk about that. You know, if something you guys want to hear, tell us, please. That way we know what you want to hear about. And again, I can't say thank you guys enough. Also, with that being said, my name's Jacob.
I'm Dan.
And we're exiting the huddle. Break.
Break.